Mike had told me a whole bunch of times, like, it kept saying, like, oh, I'm going to go to Bear, like, what about Bear Brook for me doing an open water swim? And he kept saying, like, I don't know if it's the right space, because he's brought the kids there before. He said, I don't know if it's the right space. Like, it's roped off in a certain area, and it's not a very big roped off area, so I don't know how much you'll really gain from doing an open water swim there. And so I kept saying, okay, fine. Well, I need to find somewhere else then. I need to find somewhere else. And so I kept avoiding Bear Brook. But then it got to be like, what, a week before. And I was like, I know he keeps saying that, but worst case scenario, this is what's going to happen. Bear Brook is only like 3 miles from our house. So I said, worst case scenario, I'm going to put all my swim stuff into, like, AKA cap, goggles, wetsuit, whatever, into my backpack. I'm going to put my tri-suit on that came in the mail like a couple of days before. I'm going to put the tri-suit on. I'm going to get my helmet. I'm going to get my cycling glasses. And I'm going to go for a little bike ride, the 3 miles, over to Bear Brook. And I'm going to get there. And if it's a useless area to actually get, like, open water swimming in, at the very worst, I'm going to put that wetsuit on. I'm going to jump in the water. I'm going to splash around a little bit. And then I'm going to get back out of the water. And then I'm going to take the wetsuit back off. And I'm going to put my helmet back on. And then I'll at least have the experience of going through, like, transition mode from swim to bike. And then I'll bike back home. It could be a disaster, but at least I'll have, like, gone through the motions of swim to bike. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I get into the entrance for Bear Brook, and I see the lady at the, like, little toll booth for, like, paying for your entry fee and whatnot. And I asked her, I was like, hey, so can I ask you a question? If I go down to the beach, like, is it a good spot I can, like, throw my wetsuit on and, like, get some swimming in? She's like, oh, yeah, sure. And I said, okay, well, I heard it's, like, kind of a small area. She's like, well, you're an adult, and, are you confident in your swimming? I was like, fairly. And she said, okay, well, yeah, you're fine. You don't have to stay in the roped off area. That's really more for, like, parents to just be aware of where their kids are.
Yeah.
Oh. She said, there's no one over there right now. I'm not even, just carry on. You go off and you go do you. And I was like, okay, great. So I get over there, put my wetsuit on. I'm like, all right. And I go to zip it up. I've put this thing on before. And all of a sudden I go to zip it up. And I'm like, why is the zipper in the front right now?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Eric, do you know how hard it is to take a wetsuit off when it's on backwards?
I can't say that I do, so, I feel for you, though.
0 out of 10 on the recommendation scale. I thought at one point that I was going to have to cycle home in a wetsuit. I couldn't get out.
Oh, no.
A backwards wetsuit.
I am having to take deep breaths and say, Sarah, relax. You can get out. I am sweating now. 1, because I'm anxious. 2, because I just biked here. And 3, because I am not certain that I can get out of this wetsuit. And so I am, like, trying to get it off of my shoulders. I'm trying the left and I'm trying the right. And then I'm, like, trying both at the same time.
No.
I'm freaking out. I had to seriously tell myself, you need to calm down. And I had to take deep breaths. And I finally was able to get this wetsuit off. And then what did I do? Flipped it around the right way. Put those bags back on my feet. Jam my feet into the leg holes again. And now I have it on the right way. Zip it back up. And it's much easier to put on as well when it's facing the right way. For the record.
Sarah.
So I zip it back up. And I'm looking at this water and I'm like, it's kind of dark. Like, it's kind of murky. But that's okay. I am here to do this thing. Was there a barrel
in the bottom of the lake?
No, there were no barrels. And I heard your last episode. I heard it, and you were talking about the barrels. Eric, I hope you've listened to that podcast. It's flipping fantastic.
I have not, but I know, like, the story. So
no, I don't even care. You have to listen to the whole thing. Like, it's so good. I've listened to it twice.
Bear Brook Murders, guys, look it up. The Bear Brook Murders podcast.
It's so good. It's so good. My coworkers, all my friends at CMC, hello, if you're listening, they all laughed at me when I told them the story about swimming at Bear Brook. They were like, was it murder juice? And I was like, no.
Murder juice.
But okay, but so all right, fine. So whatever. I'm looking at it and I'm like, it's murky, it's dark, it's not pretty like I expected it to be, but hey, here we are. I came to do this thing. I went through getting the wetsuit off and back on. Like, I gotta get in that water. So I get in the water and I'm like, all right, all right. Oh, it's gross on the feet. The feet are touching some weird things. It's very slimy. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan, but you're here to
Hate
do a
that
thing.
feeling.
I hate that too. Ugh.
So I finally I finally just go in. I go for it. And I start swimming and I have the goggles on. So everybody said, like, don't be surprised. You're not going to be able to see the bottom. Okay,
Mhm.
that's fine. I'm not expecting to be able to see the bottom, but I'm also not expecting my hands to be literally the color of my fingernails right now. Like, my skin was highlighter orange. It was
Bad.
strange. It was strange. It was strange. So I go for the swim. I'm swimming around the pond. And all of a sudden, I stop at one point and I look up, and a whole bunch of children were there for like a camp field trip. So now they're all standing there watching me, like
Uh,
from the pavilion. If the Reach
Yeah.
Beach Exchange, there's the pavilion there. A whole bunch of like campers are at their. I just said the word field trip. They're all there for their field trip, and they're all staring like, "Ooh, she's swimming." So finally, I'm like, "All right, well, I'm done. I did what I needed to do. I have limited time anyway. I did what I needed to do. I'm going to go back. I'm going to take the the wetsuit off, and I'm going to bike back home." And so I did. And I told Mike about it later on, and I was like, "Yeah, so the pond at Bear Brook, like, it was big enough. I was able to swim outside of the roped off area. It was kind of gross." And he was like, "Oh yeah, it's disgusting." He was like, "I don't know that was a great plan for you." And I was like, "Oh,
couldn't have
why
warned
didn't
me.
you tell
Thanks.
me that?" So that's fine. Anyway, yeah, that was a day.